Mark.
I think Luke started writing the movie maybe 5 years ago.
I've been thinking a lot about you, Wendell.
Yeah?
And us together.
I first got the idea for writing the character, Wendell, driving in between Dallas and Austin. On the way down, I kind of got the idea about a guy that ends up going to work for an old folks' home.
Afternoon. I didn't know Marietta Davis, but I can see here by you folks here that she was real loved, and even now, I'll bet that means the world to her.
And then on the way back from Austin, that same trip, I got the idea that he'd have the job selling these fake IDs to migrant workers.
The first draft I read was like 250 pages, and I said, don't change a word. And so we kind of trimmed it down over time.
I brought the script to Mark Johnson first because he's a producer that I'd worked for over the years a couple of times, and we'd always gotten along well together, and he's worked on a lot of great movies, so I always had a lot of respect for him.
He called me up and said, listen, this is what I've been doing, and would you read it? And I read it right away, really liked it, and we started to work on it together.
He was also really helpful with the story and kind of just kind of working on it, maybe losing certain things and then adding other things that just might make it flow better.
You know, he said, I want to direct it, and a little while later, he started talking, well, when Andrew and I direct it, and I said, what? And then met Andrew, and I immediately felt comfortable with both Andrew and Luke.
I think Andrew seems to be kind of responsible more for kind of the visual part of the movie and for kind of talking with the cinematographer and figuring out the look, and then Luke is sort of tracking the story a little bit more, although they both have, you know, ideas for performance and stuff, but mostly Luke talks to the actors.
Owen is Jimi Hendrix, you know. He's on 9 different planets at the same time. You know, Luke is the loaded gun. You know, Andrew is G.I. Joe. You know, he's gonna go in and get the mission taken care of. That's pretty much the Wilsons.
I think they sort of fill in the gaps that need to be filled in, you know. Luke is usually talking to me when we're face to face as we're working on the scene. And Andrew comes in after he's seen it and tells us what's working and what isn't, you know. And since Luke trusts him, you know, I trust him.
And I guess that's where the family comes in. You know, you got to be able to have that trust in your family to see that vision, you know, so that you can focus on your work and make sure that everything's getting done.
And then what's happening is, you know, Seymour's very skeptical. He's just like he is now, would be good. You know, and we're kind of into the idea.
Yeah, and the plane's going to be coming out, so you guys are going to have to kind of like see the lens.
We're going to be backing up.
Yeah, you guys are going to be sort of backing up.
Yeah, if I tried to get some of my kids to agree with each other, you know, and to take direction from each other, it would be a battle. And these guys are amazingly similar. They don't look alike, but they got the same sort of attitude. It's the same attitude that I like in the script. It's good-hearted.
We're changing the course of people's lives here. You know, we want more for these people than to just be farmhands. We want them to own the farms. These are potential politicians, doctors, lawyers, and it started right here, this Airstream. It's the Ellis Island of the Southwest.
I just love the idea of like a Woody Guthrie type guy that is just believes so strongly in a way that he's really unaware of the flip side of the coin. There's only his way of doing it.
Trips in the air, it's together. Come on, guys, that's how it's gotta be.
Luke wrote himself a great role and cast himself, and then you know, I think he always had Owen in mind for the kind of the evil head nurse character of Neil King.
So what's the word, boss?
The news is good. Baker's a 3-time loser, fresh out of Huntsville, just a pure idiot, eminently frameable.
And I always wanted Owen to play the part, and I didn't tell him until very late in the game, and I think I might have even told people he was in it before I'd actually gotten the okay from him. But that's kind of what you have to do when you're getting a movie made. You have to be forceful.
You know, Andrew, Luke and I are also really close. You know, Luke was living at my house in Santa Monica, and Andrew lives over in Venice, so we're around each other a lot. And that, yeah, it makes it nice to kind of be on the same page with the people you're working with.
We had a lot of fun just that day coming up with dialogue, and you know, Owen and I would work on it together, and then he would also just kind of do stuff on his own.
It's always great if you can kind of improvise or think up some funny stuff. And just in this week that I've been working down here, Luke and Andrew and I have come up with really funny stuff. The script was already funny, and then we came up with even funnier ideas.
So we're gonna miss her, God bless her. That's it for me. McTeague, you got anything?
About what?
Come on, have some respect.
I mean, working with Owen and that scene and a couple other scenes is like playing music, you know what I mean? He'd lay a drum track out there, and I'd come back with the bass line and pop the strings a couple of times, you know, wow. He'd come back like, I'm like, you know. So we just going at it, freestyling, just whoa, 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 whoa. You know, and appreciate Luke and Andrew giving us the freedom to just, you know, go.
One of my favorite things about making the movie was kind of putting this kind of diverse group together, you know, from Eddie Griffin, who's a stand-up comedian, to Harry Dean and Seymour Cassell, who've been in the business 50 years.
Let's go. Everybody out on the line.
Whose birthday is it?
Harry Dean Stanton I met in Hawaii. We were in a movie together.
I met Owen. I did a scene with him in a movie called The Big Bounce.
And then we became friends. And then he became friends with Luke and Andrew.
So I became accepted in the family.
Thanks for taking me on the tour. I appreciate it.
So you lost someone?
Yes, I did.
I'm Skip Summers, Boyd Fulbright.
Seymour Cassell is great playing this kind of tough guy.
If you keep messing with me, I'm gonna have to bury you, literally.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you bury me upside down so it's easier for you to kiss my ass?
The role of Boyd, Skip, and Nasher were roles that were, you know, not easy to cast, you know? Although Luke...
Speaking of the devil, literally.
Oh, here he comes.
So long, in case I don't see it, I'm gone.
No, you're not gone. Not yet.
I'm gone,
You're not
I'm
gone.
I've known Harry a long time, and he's a consummate actor. Different way of working than I do, but he approaches everything with this inquisitive mind. I kind of jump into it and say, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't be doing that.
Basically, all morning, all they do is fight, kind of banter back and forth, and you know, because Harry Dean smokes cigarettes and Seymour Cassell smokes cigars, and they're fighting over what's worse. And you know, the cigar smells. Well, yeah, well, yours causes cancer. Yeah, well, and go back and forth. And the best line Seymour Cassell said, you know, mine's like a nice dark woman, and yours like a hooker.
They're just like they are on the script. It's like Skip and Boyd, and I think it's sort of wearing on Luke. He's been subjected to their bickering for a long time, but it's classic stuff.
Just those guys, just as actors, you know, they've just kind of been through it all, so I always kind of look up to those guys.
I have absolutely no idea what he just said.
New age double talking giant. Maybe he could get us laid or something.
It reminds me all at once, in a way, of The Odd Couple. Are you okay, Wendell?
I gotta make one last try for Doreen.
We're coming with you.
One of the most pivotal parts of the movie, I think, is Eva Mendes as part of Doreen, because that really is what kind of drives Wendell, you know, to turn his life around.
I'm not going to be with someone just for the sake of not being alone. I've been alone. It doesn't scare me. Now, being with someone and still feeling alone, that's a feeling I don't like.
She's, you know, obviously beautiful, but she's also a really nice person. She's great on the set, really nice to all the people in the crew, things that, you know, sort of maybe go kind of unnoticed on screen. But I also think it kind of comes across, you know, I think, you know, I think kind of her soulfulness comes across in the movie.
Bye.
Bye.
You shouldn't really be satisfied with what you have.
There's the, you know, the obvious love story of Luke and Eva, but then there's kind of a love story between Luke and Seymour and Harry Dean that I think is really nice.
Here.
What's this?
The wedding band. You know where it needs to be. You just have to see that it gets there.
I think that the relationships that Wendell Baker forms are brother relationships with a number of people throughout the film.
And hey, we can't forget about Brother the dog, who's making his acting debut.
Junior, you're back.
Brother has kind of a neurotic quality that I didn't think was going to stand us in very good stead on a set.
Yeah, there was some concern about my dog Brother doing the movie. He gets knocked for being kind of neurotic, which I suppose he is a little bit, but then again, he was only a couple of days from getting euthanized at the pound, so I think that that's probably had something to do with it.
He's risen to the occasion. He's done a great job. I think you'll see that he gives a very sensitive portrayal of Junior the dog.
Bye, Junior. Bye, Wendell.
Bye.
Well, as you well know, this is a Wilson brothers or a Wilson family project, because not only do we have two of the Wilson brothers acting in the movie, we've got the third co-directing the movie, and then their mother is actually shooting stills.
Yeah, my mother is a photographer, so I wanted to have her be the still photographer on the movie, and she did a great job.
It's great to be a part of this family enterprise.
People are here because they want to be here, and those are some of the funnest movies to be on.
It's a great collection of people that we were kind of lucky to get for the movie. You know, it's really nice when you have people that you can really rely on to do a good job.
People like Seymour and Harry Dean and Chris Christopherson were in a lot of the movies that we, you know, admire. So it was, you know, it was incredible to get to work with those guys.
Yeah, it really made me feel good that people that I admire and whose movies I love wanted to take a chance with me and my brothers and try and make this movie.
And they cool enough to make you feel like you're part of the family, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm kind of a Wilson.